Hey, everybody. I'm Teri at Holding Your Space, and this is my guest, Paul Rudy. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Buddy.
So, I wanted to introduce Paul. Paul is a curator's distinguished professor of composition at University of Missouri, Kansas City. He owns or caretaker, I don't know what you want to call it, 70 acres of land called Harmony Farms in northeastern Kansas. Composer, performer, soul healer, photographer, writer, speaker, and art maker and teacher. So, among other things. Anyway, he does so much and so interesting. So, I'm glad you're back. Thanks for being here, Paul.
Thank you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I've got about a 1 second echo.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Does anybody else hear an echo in
it's
the?
wild.
I'll tell you what I can do. Let me go in to your audio.
Woo, we got a performance art piece going on here.
Do you have YouTube on your
Oh my
window up
goodness.
with YouTube?
I did. Sorry.
Okay.
That was
No,
me.
that's
I
okay.
wanted to start this with the performance art piece.
I couldn't hear it. I don't know if anybody else could. Can you guys hear it?
I think what happened was the stream popped up on my YouTube channel, which was the only other thing I had open on my computer. Oh, that was so interesting because you were literally like following yourself by about a second or two. And it was like
Oh
my
my God.
brain was trying to keep up. And wow, that was a really cool experience, actually.
It's like it's that SNL skit that those two did. There was a man and a woman that did it, and they would sing off sync and they were all like following each other. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
I was like, wow, this is going to be a long hour.
It's a brain drain night. I love it. Well, I just want to say hi to a few people. Cooking Baking Lane, welcome. Lori Hunsinger, Gerald at Tarot Stash. Hi, Seascape. Jessica Lynn, good to see you, dear. Millie De La Prida and Claudia from Cat Mama's Meow. How is everybody tonight? Anyway, so I'm glad you came back. Welcome home. Back in
Thanks.
DC.
Yeah, it
Yeah, there you go.
feels like forever. A lot of water under the bridge since I think last May.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a little while. So you were in Alaska this summer, which is really exciting.
Yeah, it was my second to last state. The only state I haven't been to is North Dakota. And so I decided since I've got these opportunities to go to Alaska, I'm just going to spend the whole month there. And yeah, it was a really amazing experience. You know, a lot of people warned me that apparently it's fairly common for people to go there, fall in love with it, and never leave. Um, that was not the case for me. It's an amazing place with uh, just a wild landscape. But I don't know if we've talked about it before, but the Rocky Mountains are kind of my first home, actually, the first place I called home. And so that a big part of my heart is always going to be in the Rocky Mountains. So,
Yeah.
but it was an amazing trip. We started with a wilderness trip. We took a bush plane into a town that you can only get to by plane. And then we took a float plane into a lake where they just dropped us off with all of our gear and flew out. That was a
Oh,
weird experience. It's like, wow, there's our taxi leaving, and they're not going to be back for 6 or 7 days. And it was kind of cool because we were supposed to go to one lake, and they had a really late spring in Alaska, so that lake was still frozen over. So they checked the backup lake, which they've used before. That lake was still frozen over, so they took us to a lake that they'd never been to before. And I'm like, wow, this is the wilderness. Like, I got the feeling very few people had ever traveled here, had ever spent time here, and that was the, you think of Alaska and you think these big grandiose landscapes, right? Which they have. Denali is one of the most impressive mountains in the world because it rises from next to nothing to 20,000 feet, and it's just this massive presence on the horizon. But what captured my attention was the microscopic landscape of the flora on the tundra. There's this thing called caribou lichen, and it's like, I felt like I was trampling on the set of Avatar every time I took a step. You
Is that
know,
on is that on one of your, songs on your channel?
it's the cover of one of a meditation I wrote based on that experience, a sound
Oh my
meditation. Yeah,
gosh. Yeah, I was wondering
it,
about that, and stepping on it would be like, "Oh my gosh."
it was
Yeah.
tragic. It felt tragic every step, but you couldn't avoid it, right? It was like this, and it's really spongy, so it was a great place to set up a tent, and you almost didn't need a sleeping pad. It was so soft. So it was that microscopic landscape that really captured my attention, which was very counterintuitive. um, the lake we went to had some mountains surrounding it, but they weren't the big snow capped, grandiose mountains. So the horizon view was not as spectacular as I think maybe the original lake would have been, or Denali National Park later in the month. But just the tundra landscape. I've walked a lot of tundra in Colorado, but this was completely different tundra. So
Yeah, yeah, it looked like it was on the moon or something, and, so everybody Paul also has a, YouTube channel and a website, and he does, personal mantras that he will, compose for you, right? Is that what and perform?
yeah, that's something I started last November, was writing musical mantras. So I'm a firm believer in the power of this thing, not my forehead, but the thing that's inside there, my brain. I mean, it's really a powerful instrument. And oftentimes I need to find a way to hack it to work for me instead of against me. So that's the idea behind a mantra. Some people call them uh, affirmations. The idea is I write them on my bathroom mirror. I think right now my bathroom mirror, it says, I I act in the world through my heart, or something like that. I can't even remember, but the idea is that it's always reflecting back to me every time I go in there, and eventually my mind, my body, my spirit will pick up on that message, and it will program my life that way. And my life will begin to move in that way. And I've practiced this for 20 years. And so I started doing musical versions of this and putting them on my website, or on my YouTube channel, which is called Inner Sound Worlds. And the idea is, there's a text mantra and a simple image. And the only reason there's a video is because that's what you have to put it on YouTube, right? You can't just put an audio file up. Oh,
Yeah.
old dog, new tricks. But the power is in the little short text. And then the idea is you listen to this music that is kind of reinforcing that text mantra that you can roll in your head at the same time, and basically start reprogramming your life towards what you want. And that's, to me, that's the practice of mantraing. I'm going to just make up that word.
I like
Is the
that.
practice of really fine tuning a very concise thought that focuses your attention and your energy on something you want in your life. We're really good at focusing on what we don't want. I don't want to get sick. Oh, I hope the traffic's not bad. Like, those are both thoughts that are focusing on what we don't want, instead of focusing on what we do want. I want to stay healthy. I want my immune system to be strong. I want to have a easy flowing drive to work today, right? Those are ways to say things and to mantraize things in ways that put our thoughts towards what we want. And this stuff really works. I mean, the first one I practiced 20 years ago was "I love you," and it was a complete lie when I wrote it on my bathroom mirror. I hated myself. I was so unhappy. I was
Mm,
miserable. I I would shout, I would scream at myself for dropping a pencil, stupid little things.
sure.
And I read Deepak Chopra's Path to Love, and I'm like, wow, there's no path in the outer world towards love if there's no inner love for me and myself. And so that was the one of the moments where I really turned inward, and I'm like, well, you know, um, if I want love in the world and I hate myself, well, I don't even have the possibility of contributing love to the world. And it was a lie, as I said, when I wrote it on my bathroom mirror. But I think I understood the power of words, right? Like, words are they're Trojan horses.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
they don't just come with intellectual meaning; they come with energetic meaning. They come with all kinds of programming and subroutines, right? Every word we say has a million subroutines behind it. And so I think I understood that power, and I just practiced it. And 2 years later, I stood in front of that mirror and I said, "I love you," and I meant it. It still makes my heart just expand when I tell this story, because this is the power of our mind, right? And the power of words in combination with our mind, and that intention can really help us get what we want
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
we focus it on what we want, right? When we
Right.
focus it, and it's some people say, "Oh yeah, be positive." It's like, no, 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 that's not it at all, right? Um, if I'm feeling like shit and I'm saying, "Oh, I'm not sick," that's called denial, and the universe has no idea what to do with that, right? That's like that's a phase cancellation, right? The
Yeah.
outer message is canceling what my body is feeling, and it creates a null and void that just allows whatever's happening to continue. And um, so that's why it's really important to put our thoughts on what we want. I can guarantee you the evildoers in the world are masters at practicing that. I've
They
seen
really
it.
are, aren't they? And getting
I've
that
seen it in the
energy
political
moving.
realm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, if I put this message out there enough, it's going to happen. And guess what? It does, right?
Yeah. We just had a
So,
show today on the universal law of perpetual motion and energy, and how when you start putting that out there, or when you start holding it, worse yet, like you were saying, and trauma, and it does create disease, and it creates negative
mhm.
energy when you don't let it out. But yeah, I love that. I love that. That's amazing. So and you've had a big physical transformation too since we saw you.
Yeah. A year ago, I had so much pain in my right knee. It was screwed up in so many ways. I could hardly walk on it. I mean, I had to keep going through life, but just a lot of physical pain. And so I'm I live alone on 70 acres, and I'm running a big experiment with my body. So, what happens if, no matter what my body's going through physically, I don't attach to that physical symptom, but I attach to the idea that I have everything I need, or will find the right resources I need to move through it and heal? And I did that with my knee. I don't go see doctors, um, because the subscription that I come out with usually is a deeper tie to whatever my ailment is, right? I end up with a deeper connection to my symptoms rather than any relief from those symptoms. And I'm not interested in the symptoms anyway. So I've got knee pain. That's a symptom of something else that's going on in my life and in my body. So I worked on it a lot, and I had so many magical experiences around that, which we don't have time to talk about. But it was 3 weeks before the Alaska trip, I knew I was going to have to be doing some intense hiking, and I wasn't sure my knee could do it. And I called the organizer and I said, "Man, I'm thinking I might have to back out because I don't want to ruin this trip for anybody. We're going to be in the middle of the wilderness. What if something happens? Like that could completely ruin the trip for everybody." And so I decided, he said, "Well, you got to do what you got to do. And, I trust your judgment." So I decided, it was a Sunday. I'm going to go for a walk, and I'm either going to break this knee completely or I'm going to move through this. So I went on a 9-mile walk because,
Whoa.
I mean, I knew I was going to have to maybe even do a 10 or 12-mile walk on this trip. And my knee was fine. Like, I didn't have any pain. It worked fine. And what I did was really start paying attention to the ergonomics. And I noticed that my right foot was turning outward, and I'm like, well, that's not right. So I started working on straightening that knee, turning it more inwards. My left leg was great, so I do this all the time. I'm like, hey, left leg, would you talk to this right leg and show it how to do this right? Because everything seems to be fine with you. And so literally asking one half of my body to help the other half figure out how to do this with more ease. And then so then I knew I could do this trip. And I had an amazing healing session that we were talking about before we came online, with a practitioner in Lawrence who's really amazing. The first thing she did was give me some of this sacred mountain oil. Oh, that's backwards. Well, whatever. It's called Sacred Mountain. She let me smell some of it, and it just opened me up wide. And that became a metaphor, a big life's metaphor for how I've been trying to move through life, which is what knees are all about, right? Knees, hips, and all of that
Yeah.
stuff is tied together with ankles. Like, it was all about, how am I moving through life? And this knee was just a symptom of trying to move through life in a way that's not my way to move through life. And that comes from, discovering human design a little over a year ago, and discovering what my human design type is, emotional projector, how I was trying to live life on other people's terms. And this sacred mountain became a metaphor. In fact, I have a sound mantra called "I stand like mountain," because I realized, as an emotional projector, my job is to stand like mountain, and be amazing and beautiful and changing in the sunlight, and this presence, right? That's the projector part. Like, it's our aura that is our biggest presence, and that's something I didn't understand. It's like, I'm in the room long before my body gets there, and
Oh, yeah.
and and that's why I have to be like, if I'm trying to go after something in the room, it's overbearing for everybody there, because my aura is already like on it, right? It's already on it. And so this and then I was going to Alaska, where I was going to actually experience all these amazing mountains. I was actually hiking in them. And so a lot of things came together right before that trip. The trip was me just experiencing the mountains, driving through them, hiking in them, being in them, and becoming that mountain. And that ties into the whole mission at the farm here, right? My job is not to sell Harmony Farm. My job is to welcome people who want to come and do their work. And it's often not work that I'm helping with. It's the land just does it. That's so, even what I do here on the farm is all about that, being that mountain that is open for anybody to visit anytime. And the mountain doesn't travel. The mountain won't come to you, right? You have to come to the mountain and invite and ask. If we learn from our Native American ancestors, ask, may I may I commune with you? May I be here? May I practice here? May I visit here? Right. And I'm still learning how to talk about this because it sounds kind of arrogant. Like you have to come to me. Right. Um, and that's not quite it. It's more like I'm not hustling out in the world anymore. Like that's the
Yeah.
biggest part. Like I'm not trying to sell this place to you or anyone else. I'm not trying to get people here. I'm not trying to get people to even listen to my music, right? Like it's there. Anytime you want to approach it and partake of it, that's up to you. That's not up to me. And so letting go of well, capitalism just wants us to go out and sell everything and sell ourselves all the
Yeah.
time, and that is not the way it works
Yeah.
for an emotional projector. And it's been so freeing to just let that stuff go and realize my only job in this life is to create and to put ideas out into the world, and then somebody else has to make those ideas happen. That's I can't do it, um, and it doesn't matter what effort I put into it, right? you know
Mhm.
it's not, that's not gonna amount to anything because that's not my job. That's someone else's job. So I've felt really free in the last 4 or 5 months to just keep making stuff. It's what I do. I just make stuff. I make a lot of stuff. I make stuff on the land. I make music. I make photography. I make poetry. I want to write a book someday. I mean, it's just my job to make stuff. And what the world does with it, that's not my job. Right?
Well, it sounds like you're being your true authentic self,
Yeah.
Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Open-hearted and going for it, man. I like to call that sometimes flying our freak flag. I mean, it's like, who cares what other people think?
Yeah.
Constructs of society. I mean,
Yeah.
to a certain extent, we have to a wee bit, but
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, living your authentic life and letting it
It,
out there. It's
it
beautiful.
it's really liberating. Like I feel completely free right now. And a whole bunch of other dominoes fell when I just started being the sacred mountain. I I went to visit my grandmother bristlecone pine tree at the end of July. She's a 2,500-year-old bristlecone pine tree in Colorado that I've been visiting since 1985. She's just an amazing being, and I felt like crap that day. Oh man, there was a volcano in my stomach, and I have been searching, Teri, for the right food to eat for decades. I've known that what I'm eating doesn't work for my body. I tried a lot of different things, and I finally found the way to eat. And it was, and I just changed cold turkey because I felt so bad that day hiking up to see grandmother. It's just like, this cannot go on. I can't live feeling like this anymore. And, within about a week, my inflammation was completely gone. My stomach settled down. I've lost weight. I'm hungry at meals, which was never the case. And so that's been a big change in the last 3 months. Just living according, it's the thing I discovered was eat right for your blood type. And I was reading the book, reading the research behind this thinking, and it how when you read something, you're like, this is capital T truth for me.
Yeah.
That, like, I don't need to know the research behind it. Everything you're saying about this resonates so deeply as truth, that I'm going to try this. And within a week, I was just feeling so much better. I mean, I'm
So
riding
what's
bike
your
regularly,
yeah.
um, and focused. I've never been this focused. I started the school year. This is my 26th year of teaching. When I start the school year, I don't compose. I usually don't pick that up again till November because starting school is crazy. I started this school year with three like really big creative projects on my plate, starting them start to finish. over these first couple of months. Never done that. And I've had the capacity for all of it. So my capacity, my ability to track things, to stay on top of things has never been quite this clear. And so, yeah, anyway, sorry, you had a question you were going to
Oh,
ask.
I was just gonna ask you, so what I had this done years ago that I was, a hunter-gatherer. I mean, and I
Yeah,
was supposed to eat meat. And
typo. Yeah,
yeah, so what about you? I mean, what
yeah.
what works for you on that?
I'm an O. I'm
Are
a
you?
lean hunting gathering machine. Yeah, yeah, and I've known for years that I can't do vegetarian. I just know that. I just feel horrible when I eat that way. Vegan is even worse.
Yeah,
And um, I yeah, so O blood type has naturally acidic stomachs.
yeah,
All that acid, we have all that acid already to break down the meat. And that's why I'm not drinking coffee. I'm drinking green tea, right? Coffee. I was drinking 2 cups of coffee first thing in the morning. It was completely destroying my gut before the day even started.
oh,
Um,
ding, 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 ding.
yeah, and
Yeah,
anything acidic like pickled things, and I mean, it's the thing is, it's not about categories of food. It's about very specific foods and the way our body um, processes lectins based on our blood type. And lectins are in all foods, and they're various types, and they interact with our blood types differently. And I've, as I said, I'm not trying to lose weight, and I'm down about 20 pounds from my highest weight, which is a little over a year ago, and most of that's been in the last 3 months. So I just that's changed my life. I just feel so much better all the time. Like my hands aren't stiff. I'd wake up and my hands were so stiff and um, just terrible inflammation. And
yeah,
that's pretty much all gone now. And it
wow.
left. It changed like really quickly. Within a week, the inflammation was gone. And I knew my body. I know my body responds quickly to things. It always has. I used to say I have an
Yeah,
iron stomach. I'm changing that story a little bit. I don't have an iron stomach. I have a really strong stomach and a really high metabolism. And when I'm eating the right foods, it's working. It's like really working. My metabolism is working. I can feel it working, and I'm hungry at every meal. As I said, I've lived for 30 years without being hungry. You know,
yeah,
because my body was just like, oh my God, what are we doing processing this stuff? Okay, I guess we have to do it because it's here.
right, right,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. Well, and so are you working with the biome at all then with the lectins, or have you had any of that testing done with your yeah,
So, I mean, here's the thing. My body already knew the foods that are on the no list for me were on the no list. Like,
yeah,
you know, um, most of the things that were like so it's I don't know if I want to get into this a lot. I certainly can, but it's like the health food industry is more interested in what's in the food. This particular method is more interested in what's within me and how that interacts with the food, because food
right.
becomes blood, right? And so there's a lot of things that are in all health foods that I can't eat now. If it's got coconut in it, well, if I want diarrhea in 4 hours, I can eat some coconut. But I don't want that anymore. So coconut is completely out. Coconut water, coconut oil, everything. Energy bars. I'm looking for energy bars on the bicycle now. They all have sunflower oil or sunflower seeds in them. Well, again, if
Yeah,
I want diarrhea in 2 hours, I can eat that stuff.
yeah, there's a lot
Um,
of that.
cucumbers, and like that's on my no list. And it's not every vegetable and it's not every meat. Um, but I would, just to underscore that my body already knew what it wanted and what it didn't want, I would buy lots of cucumbers because they're good for you, right? Well, I'd eat
Yeah,
2 of them, and then the rest would literally just rot in the fridge. Because every time I thought about eating a cucumber, I'd be like, I don't feel like preparing it. Like my body was like, no, please, let's not eat that. So I think the personalized nature of this, it just resonated so deeply with me. And I have, like I said, the truth is in the pudding, right? Which, I mean, yeah, if it's the right kind of pudding, I can actually eat it. But I've just never felt this good. I've never had this much energy. I think I told you the litany of what I did on Sunday, which was a 20-mile bike ride, 6 miles of walking, splitting 3 bucket loads of Osage orange wood by hand, backfilling my garage for the rain to come. I mean, it even blew my mind what all I did on Sunday. And I'm like, wow, that's because I have a vitality in this body that I haven't had for decades.
Yeah, it's
So
amazing, isn't it? I mean, we think so much about the mental and consciousness, like where our energy is going, but we don't often work with the plasticity of the brain, or think about the physical composition, like your oxygen levels and whatnot.
yeah,
In this group of, on our spiritual path, sometimes we kind of forget it. Yeah, that's amazing. It makes a huge difference.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I just as I'm feeling this way, and I'm not going to go back to feeling the other way I felt when I was eating all that other healthy stuff that's supposed to be good for you. Well, and I'm sure it's great for some people, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
not for me. And that, I think we all have to find what really works for us. And like I said, this was a 30-year pursuit for me, and I knew it when I found it. It's like, so yeah,
So boom, boom. You got a
yeah,
lot on.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah. Amanda's saying I'll have what he's having.
You
I
can have
love
it,
that.
right? Anybody can have this. The thing we have to really be vigilant about is all of these narratives going on in media, right? There, these, I don't even know where to start here. Maybe I shouldn't have
Yeah.
even said that, but we are literally being dangled in front of so many opposing options that may be horrible for us as individuals, because capitalism wants to find one recipe that will sell this product to everyone, whether it's good for you or not, whether it's right for you or not. And that's the noise we have to listen through to hear our bodies, to hear our minds, to hear our spirits clearly, and give it what it wants. Give us what we want, right?
Yeah.
As an individual, as an individual human having a very individual experience in this very individual body that is tied to the whole collective, right?
I love the way you put that, tied to the whole collective too. Everybody's saying
Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
I heard this channeling. I think it was a channel. I had to stop. I couldn't listen anymore because this poor woman was asking a question of this. I think he was channeling the way he was sitting. I'm like, okay, he's channeling somebody, but she's like, I was a vegan for 10 years and I felt horrible, and I started eating meat, and I feel better physically, but I hate eating meat because of whatever narrative that's tied to. And he was like, well, you're giving your body what it needs. And he's like, do you have more questions? He's like, well, yeah, I still don't, I'm still not comfortable with that. So we went into this whole thing about how you're buying into the collective narrative that says you have to do it this certain way. And all of a sudden she went from feeling bad about being a vegan to feeling bad because she can't single-handedly fix collective consciousness of 8 billion humans. And I was like, oh my God, stop it. Like,
Yeah.
um, just listen. And that's what ties all my practices together, right? Like, I think we talked about this the last time I was on here. Like, when I made my website a number of years ago, because I couldn't find somebody else to do it, I'm like, well, I guess I'll have to do it, which is the way a lot of things go here. Um, it's like, land art, working with the energies and the ancestors of the land. I'm a composer. I'm a sound healing artist. I do photography. Like, what ties all of these things together? And it was the act of listening. Um,
Oh.
yeah, like we're not good listeners in this country, and I'm including myself in that because I'm trained as a listener, right? I have a doctorate in music, and I've spent my whole life listening. And there are still times when I'm like, wow, I just like this message was hitting me upside the head, and I just didn't step back, take the time to listen to it, right? And our bodies are talking to us all the time. They're giving us information. It wants our well-being, right? And the medical industrial complex doesn't want us listening that way, right? It doesn't want us to know what we need and what we want, because it wants to sell us stuff. It wants to make us feel a little better, but not cure us, not heal us, because then it would cease to exist, right? And so listening is so important, and that takes awareness, and that to me is the purpose of any meditative practice, right? Is to be present and be aware, right?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And so often we listen to others so we can speak, right? We don't listen to hear what they're saying,
Right,
and as empaths, so often we wanna help others when we're
right.
listening to them, so we listen so we can help and
So we
heal
can,
them.
yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
listen to respond, not to understand. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm still, man, I still really have to practice that one. I was in a meeting today, and I was thinking about what I was going to say when it was my turn. I'm like, stop it.
Right?
Listen to
Yeah.
who's speaking right now.
Yeah. I don't think I learned that until maybe a few years ago, finally, but it's kinda clicking in a little bit, but still every once in a while, I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." You
Yeah,
know? I'll
yeah.
ask before I talk anymore. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to trust the medical, field sometimes, isn't it? Hypnicity. She's saying, "I don't trust doctors anymore. They only wanna give me pills." Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's so there are things that I need to be cured of. Like, if I break my leg, I need that to be cured, right?
Yeah.
And I probably need somebody who's really good at resetting bones to do that. Um, but if I need healing, I'm not going to find that from any doctor. I'm not going to find that from someone who's not really listening to my body, right? So I'm very picky about the practitioners who I let work on me, right? It's like, um, most of the time, I know I'm in the right place when within 2 minutes of being on someone's table, they're like, oh my God, your body's telling me everything it wants right now. And I'm like, yes, thank you for listening. I'm going to stay on your table, and I'll probably come back, right? I'm not a protocol. All of us are worth way more than a protocol. A
Yeah.
protocol is based on a small subset, and we're finding out more and more that it's the subset of white men, right? Or rats in isolation, unsocialized rats that are going to get sick no matter what happens to them, right? That all these research studies are based on flawed methods because they don't take into account the diversity of us as humans, let alone the socialized nature of all creatures, right? And that's a huge part of the healing process, and that's why we have to become our own agents. We have to take this into um, our own hands. And I'm still going to die, right? That's going to happen. And I'm pretty confident that the moment I die, I will be healed, right? Which is why I'm free to move on to the next stage, right? Because I've done the work here. I've healed what I came here to heal. I've accomplished what I came here to accomplish. And it's not just all about healing. That's part of it, but I've achieved the missions I came here to do. And now I'm free to go, right? That
Yeah.
it's like I'm complete, right? Whenever that happens and however that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I feel like so I had this vision a long time ago or a while back, and it was my death, and it was the best vision I'd ever had. It was just like amazing, and the whole message was you never had to fear. You
Mm-hmm.
never had to worry about this or
Mm.
anything.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, and I try to remember that all the time. But it's, we don't always do that. We hear little voices around us or,
Or big voices.
yeah, big voices inside us. Worse yet.
Or big voices outside of us, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much noise out there. And I think that's where I was going when I was talking about all the narratives that are out there. So part of what I do is listen through the noise. Well, no, I don't listen through the noise. I'm listening for clear signals, right? A clear signal is something that comes from an authentic, sincere source. I don't think I can put any more adjectives on it than that. It comes from an authentic source. Maybe not even well, yeah, it's going to be clear. Um, but it's not going to be clear and it's not going to be noise free if it's not coming from an authentic place, right? And I think that's the biggest thing we can all practice right now, and that's why I'm in a renaissance right now at age 61. I'm free from all the programs that were overlaid on me after my 6-month baby picture was taken. I'm free of more and more of those. So what my interactions with the world become more and more authentic, and I'm able to hear um, those authentic places more and more, those authentic signals, right? And I think we can all do that. I think we can all feel when somebody's. I mean, there's certain body language things like if somebody's talking to me and not looking at me. It's like, well, they're not even in the room, so whatever I'm hearing is not a clear signal, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think we have radar for that, and it is something we can practice more and more. Um, and I think the best place to practice it is in how I interact with the world, right? I can't change other people's authenticity, but the more authentic I am in the world, the more authentic, clear signals I hear and I come into contact with. It's like we're out there calling for each other. Hello. It's like we're yodeling in the Alps, right? To let the farmer across the way know that we're still there and we're still neighbors and everything's okay. And I mean, I kind of feel like we're all still like casting out those signals. We're always casting out our signals, and whatever signal we're casting out will attract like signals, similar signals, right?
Oh, definitely. The law of attraction. I mean, we are just, yeah, we're
Mm-hmm.
attracting people right and left. And sometimes it's not what we want, or sometimes it's a lesson in that. Remember how you used to do that and look how far you've come.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So we've got a few questions here.
Sure.
Julie, learning to listen. She has a new channel. How can we follow a protocol without paying attention to the bio psycho spiritual system?
Yeah, we can't, right? And most of the protocols that are invented, and I'm not talking about medical protocols, well, those for sure, but protocols that people learn in massage school, for example. Well, you start at this muscle group and then you go to that muscle group. And I'm like, that's not what my body needs. My body needs you to start right here and then go down there and then flip me over, right? So I think if I'm reading your correct question, Julie, it's more a rhetorical question. Like, yeah, we can, and most of the systems developed are not taking those things into account, right? More and more, I think that's beginning to happen. There's a, when science and spirituality come together, we've got something really powerful. When they really respect each other and learn from each other,
Yeah.
that's when we've got something tremendously powerful. But right now, they're kind of in their opposite corners, and the bell rings, and they come out and fight with each other. And whoever's in, we're the people in the middle, try to make sense of all this stuff. And so, yeah, we are. I think the key word there, Julie, is systems. We are complex systems, and you can't just treat part of a system and expect the whole thing to respond beneficially, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes there are key elements that can cause domino effects, right? Um, but yeah, that's a great point, Julie. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. A nice balance, right? Yeah, would be great. Yeah. I feel like oh, Hypnicity is a healer, and she said switching to an organic, non-GMO lifestyle has helped me immensely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so. I'm building a new sort of next level healing space here. It's a 1,000 square foot room above my garage, and it's not finished. It's like open studs, and I hosted Gail Fuller. Do you know his name? He's kind of on the leading edge of regenerative ag, and he's transitioned in the last 20 years from a GMO farmer to a regenerative ag farmer, and he's on the leading edge of that field. So I hosted he and a collaborator in a series of workshops called Heal the Farm, Heal the Farmer, Heal the Farm. And they talked a lot about all of the glyphosates and the herbicides that are actually in the food that we eat, and that there's been research studies that show that in organic food there's way less of those things. And if you're a healer, you're probably an empath, which means you're super sensitive to these things, right? I
Yeah.
think those of us that are intuitive, um, we have really delicate systems on the one hand, where it's pretty easy to throw us off balance with the wrong pesticide in our food, right? I mean, and it's throwing everybody off balance, but we're the ones that can sense it and feel it and understand it, or not understand and not know what it is that's causing this stuff. So I was really blown away by the statistics of how much, for example, glyphosates are actually in the vegetables we're eating every day, and how much less. It's like 50 to 75% less, if I'm remembering right, in organic food. So that is definitely something that will support your body better than eating all these pesticides, for sure. And the nutrient, there's research on the nutrient levels in organic food as well, that show there's way more nutrients in non-GMO organic foods as well. So if
Yeah.
you know where it comes from, I mean, I know where my meat comes from. She lives 5 miles east of me. She's an amazing farmer. I don't know how she does everything she does, but it's really high quality meat. And I can trust it, and I feel great on it. And yeah, so
Yeah. We usually buy from a farmer or a rancher out east, all grass fed. Yeah. Growing heirloom seeds too. I love that.
yeah,
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah. We're going back to old strains of grain that came from Europe, like farro, and I can't even remember what they're all called. But the Merck, which is a co-op here in Lawrence, Kansas, is selling all of those old heirloom European grains that are going to be much better for us than the stuff that's been sort of engineered out of anything of value. So
Yeah. Oh, Amanda, I love this. Amanda asks, any comments on thanking or blessing your foods before eating?
yeah, so here's my other beef with the health food industry. That industry has created so much fear around eating. And I can guarantee you, if you eat food with fear, it's not going to bless you. It's not going to be as beneficial to you as if you eat it with thanks, eat it with gratitude, and eat it with joy. Whatever you eat, whatever the energy you're consuming or in when you're eating it, is going to program your body towards making use of it, right? This
Yeah.
is the power of our mind. Our mind is the biggest short circuit of our health, even compared to glyphosates, right? Like those are chemicals. Our body is a chemistry set that knows how to deal with chemistry. What it's not so good at is dealing with the chi that comes along with that chemistry. So, um, I have a practice of grounding chi that's not beneficial for my body. So every now and then I'll be laying in bed and my legs will be buzzing and I'll have restless leg syndrome or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I did all these things in the last week. I've absorbed all this chi from all of these places, including food, drink, driving, conversations, the internet, news, blah, blah, blah. We're always receiving that chi and I'm storing it in my body. And my body's a really great chi battery, right? It's really good at that. And so I get up and I go out into my medicine wheel and I put my feet on the ground and that stuff just drains. I give it away to Mother Earth. It's not beneficial for me, but it's beneficial for her. She knows exactly what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so, chi's not good or bad. It's just energy. And we know from physics that energy is not destroyed or created. It's just moved around, right? Well, let's be careful with how we're energizing the things we're interacting with and the things we're receiving energy from. And let's be deliberate about managing that. Our body, I've been meaning to do a guided meditation about this, and I don't know what my block around it is. I just haven't done it. But leading an individual or a group through a series of exercises that goes from our external fields and our external experiences to our internal body and all the body's systems, from skin to fascia to muscles, tendons, bones, blood, um, our nervous system, and taking each of those systems and sort of asking our body to find any chi that's in there that's not of our highest benefit, and just letting that chi go, and then turning it into a giveaway to Mother Earth. Mother Earth needs all the chi she can get right now. And just because it's not beneficial to us doesn't mean it's bad chi. It just means it's not helpful to my body. So let me give that away, and Mother Earth can use that chi, and um, and she gets what she needs, and I get rid of what I don't need. It's the same thing when we breathe out, right? What we breathe out, the trees drink in, and what the trees breathe out, we drink in. What a beautifully symbiotic system of creation.
Yeah. Trees are so special. I love them. Yeah, I can go and take a long video. Yeah, definitely. I haven't been out to your farm since last year, so yeah, I definitely need to go in and take some pictures, some video to show everybody how
Yeah,
beautiful it is out there.
I mean, it's open to the public. If you go to my website, you can sign up to come for a visit. I just ask people to sign up so I know when and who's out here. Not who. I don't I don't manage whether people can come or not. I just say, yeah, there's nothing going on, so come on out. And if I know somebody's out here, I'm not going to take the chainsaw out and make a lot of noise. I want to respect when people are here and give you quiet time. Um, yeah, and I mean, I can't meet everybody and spend time with everybody here, but I do offer sessions that, sound healing sessions. And part of that, a big part of integration from those sessions can be walking on the land, A lot of people have really cathartic experiences in the sound healing sessions, and walking on the land is a great way to begin to integrate what happens in those sessions. And I'm going to put in the comments here the website.
I have it also in the
Okay.
yeah, but go ahead and put it in because usually I have a banner, but I can't find my banner for you.
Yeah, and so you can read about it. You know, there's some helpful suggestions. There's sacred spaces here. I've got a. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Yeah.
I did have it.
And yeah, that's the front page. There's a link to Harmony Farm. So there's, I've got a feminine medicine wheel in the woods that's in the low spot, literally the crotch of the property. There's a moon temple. There's a dragonfly temple with a labyrinth. There's lots of spaces. The land has something for everybody, and the land knows nothing about protocols, right? Like if if you need for a squirrel to drop a walnut on your head, she knows how to make that happen, right? Um, she knows how to give exactly what it is you need in the moment. It's always things that you can handle. The land has pushed me to the edge, but every time the right resources, the right information, the right people have come along to help me process that and come back from the edge and be much stronger and wiser for it. So she's just a really wise teacher. And yeah, come for a visit, group, whatever. I do group sound healing sessions. Right now I can do up to 6 people, maybe 7. When I get my new space done, I'll be able to do 30, maybe even a few more. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, do you have anything? We're almost at the end we're almost an hour. I don't want to keep you too long, but is there anything else you want us to know about finding our authentic selves? Because I love that you're living this life now, Paul. And you already had a great life.
Well, yeah, I know. This feels like icing on an already amazing 3-layer cake. Uh, Prioritize listening to yourself, not others, right? So, and so when I'm about ready to veer from my authentic self, my blood pressure starts going up. I start getting intense. My passion just almost boils over, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's like I'm pushing against something instead of flowing into something. So, and I'm really starting to pay attention to that and taking a step back, taking some deep breaths and saying, okay, I'm about ready to enter into an interaction from old Paul that was trying to do things in other people's way. And so again, it goes back to listening. Your heart knows, your gut knows, your blood pressure knows, your energy knows, right? If you're eating a certain way because it's the information that you've been attracted to, but you're not feeling well, then change your beliefs around it. Be willing to have a flexible mind and change and learn and grow and do something differently, because it's our beliefs. I just finished reading Conversations with God. I think it's the last book that he wrote. And it's so true. The thing that's standing in our way as humans is our beliefs.
Yeah.
Our beliefs are absolutely working against us in so many ways. And I think we have to let go of our beliefs no matter what they are. And I find the strongest ones that get me the most in trouble are moral beliefs. If I have a belief in something for moral reasons, that is something I need to question every day. because morality is a slippery thing and it's defined by the majority usually, and it's not always right. It wasn't right when it was slavery. It wasn't right um, when it was about women and their lack of rights. It was moral at some point to keep those people excluded from our decision making, right? So yeah, be willing to examine everything about your life. And I think that's why I finally found myself, is that there's no stone in my life I'm not willing to overturn and look at what's underneath it. And if there's something gross there, change it,
Yeah. That's awesome. Love that. Yeah. Julie says old patterns poof. Programming, right?
Yeah. Well, and
Definitely.
the mantras can really help with that. That's why I'm making them. And all those mantras that are on my YouTube channel were for me. I wrote them for me because I needed them. I needed to learn how to stand like mountain. I needed to know that what I'm doing in the world is valuable. I needed to be connected with my body. And I found that I've got this ability, like if somebody reaches out and said, hey, here's what I'm dealing with. Can you write me a meditation? I'm like, sometimes it comes in my dreams, or it's the first thing I'm aware of when I wake up, and all I got to do is go sit down and compose it. So if anybody's interested in help with that, a simple 1 or 2 minute mantra, musical mantra can really help. And I'm happy to help people. So feel free to reach out. And I do remote sound healing sessions as well, if anybody's interested in one of those. Or if you're local, come on out. We can, I do lots of different things, and I'm very busy, but I can usually get people in within a week because it's a priority. Like, your well-being is a priority, not just to you, but it's a priority to me. So
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Paul. Everybody wants you back right away. So,
well, I'm happy. As you know, I love to talk, so I want to hear more about your experience, your dream that you talked about sometime.
oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. Lots of love. And we will see you later. I have dream detectives tonight, too. So,
Cool.
speaking of dreams, if anybody wants some dream interpretation. So,
Awesome. Thank
we
you,
will,
everybody. Take care. Be well.
yeah.